Free supercharging for Teslas is gone. It's gone. No, of course, if you have one already and it will go the same way, you will still have it, and depending on your ownership changes and stuff like that. But as far as buying a new Tesla, it's no more. But that's not what Tesla owners actually expected. I'll tell you a little switcheroony that Tesla just did last second. And there's so many other news. Neil deGrasse Tyson defends Elon Musk. Audi offers their version of a charging network in Europe, which is pretty interesting. NIO becomes the first Chinese company automaker to go public. Let's see how that went. Also, Tesla did something nice, as they did before for the people who are fleeing hurricane on the East Coast, and a few other interesting news. So let's get going right now. Welcome to those of you who are watching me live on patreon.com/e4electric. That's where you can help the show evolve, contribute, and of course watch me live with some extra segments that I do every time after this live show that I tape for YouTube. And of course, if this is your first time here and you're interested in everything that's going on in the world of electric cars, which is a lot, just go ahead and click on the subscribe button. It's free, and that way you'll stay up to date and won't miss anything moving forward. Let's get going. All right. The referral program has been pretty much the only way how you could get the free supercharging when you're buying a Tesla, though after, the January of 2016, I believe, or I should have looked it up, but you look it up if you're buying a used Tesla. But at some point, they actually ended up attaching the free supercharging not to the car, but to the owner. So the cars made before that, like including my car in 2015, if I sell it, the new owner will still enjoy free supercharging. But let's say if you bought a car this year or previous year, whenever you sell it, it's done. Now, what Tesla said that on September 16th, which is in a few more days, what was going to happen is that you will get free supercharging, but will be just for the first year. Well, they decided to change that. Now they're just going to give you $100 in charging credits, which is, it's kind of similar, but it's not obviously unlimited free supercharging. And it also depends on which state you live on or country, right? Because the rates vary a lot. Like some states could be double of others. So it depends. But that should still cover a few reasonable trips per year, which I think is what people usually take, no more than that. So technically it's the same thing, but it's not. As you know, I'm not a big fan of the referral system, referral program overall, but you should know that this change is being made in another 4 days. At the same time, I got to tell you, I think they've been way too generous. I think they went with this free supercharging thing for way too long. I think the fact that there is a supercharging network is already a huge benefit to Tesla drivers. Having it free on top of that, that is just gravy. So I'm not surprised they're wiping that gravy right off the table at this point. Don't blame them. I think it's actually a good move. They do need to worry about being profitable, so that kind of makes sense. I'll tell you about another interesting charging story, but before that, of course, I want to remind you that this show and this channel is sponsored by Evernex, the aftermarket accessories for all Teslas. Some of them have free supercharging, some don't, doesn't matter. Those accessories fit pretty well. I have a few of my own. There's a discount code in the description of this video. Go ahead and grab it so you can save yourselves a few bucks. All right, let's talk about another charging network. And this one is a charging service that's created by Audi. And as you know, Audi is just about to unveil the all-electric e-tron here in San Francisco. I will be there to cover it for you guys. Big deal. They're already in production. You'll be able to see these cars without the camouflage, though they did release this teaser. I think the last couple of days doesn't help at all, but I just figured you want to take it, check it out. So where was I? Oh yeah, I'm losing my train of thought. There's just so many things going on right now. So they're going to release this service where basically they're going to give you this card, and it will work in like 72,000 different charging stations across Europe that are basically will be from over 220 providers, right? Almost like a Etsy store for car charging in Europe, right? Got one car and you can use all of these. Now, not all of them are going to be fast charging, right? Some of them are just regular. But don't forget, the parent company of Audi, the Volkswagen Group, is one of the main investors into the up-and-coming Ionity network, which is the fast charging network in Europe. And also, don't forget, this car, the Audi e-tron, will be pretty much the fastest, will have the fastest charging capacity out of all electric cars, including Tesla, at I believe 150 kilowatts. So very interesting. And they say that after that, in about a year, you won't even need to have a car. Much like with Tesla, you will just plug it in and it will recognize your car and charge your account. And all of the billing, by the way, from all these different charging network providers will be consolidated in one bill. So I really love it. Obviously, you'll be able to plan your trip with the app and stuff like that. I really love it because this is essentially even better than a Tesla supercharging network, right? Because it includes kind of destination chargers as well as Ionity network goes forward and grows. They haven't announced anything for the United States, though. Volkswagen Group is in charge of Electrify America as punishment for the Dieselgate. But I'm assuming that's also going to be part of the deal once they, and I'm hoping only, don't know, will do the same thing here in the United States. So I'm really excited. All right, let's talk about the other news, and this is from TMZ. After the taping of the Stephen Colbert show, Neil deGrasse Tyson was asked a question about Elon Musk, and he came to his defense. He said that everybody just needs to leave the guy alone. He's basically the only game in town, as he said. Agreed. And also he basically says that he's like the next big thing after Thomas Edison, which is actually a big deal coming from Neil deGrasse Tyson. But he did mention that, hey, listen, he also needs to remember that he can't break SEC regulations because he needs to remember that he's the CEO of a public traded company. If you don't like playing by their rules, guess what? Take your company private. I've heard that somewhere recently. Anyway, so very interesting that he came to his defense, but I like this guy a lot, and I actually agree with everything he said. And then the guy asked him about like smoking weed in space, and yeah, the conversation went somewhere else. But that was interesting that he said that. Now, in another big news, you know how we talk about Byton and Lucid and companies like NIO. NIO is actually one of my favorite front runners. They've already making this all electric car. They call it Chinese Tesla, but they made almost 2,000 of them, so they're in production. They've had some major investments, including Baidu, but they went public in the United States. This is sort of the first time a Chinese automaker just kind of made this bold move because they're very set on crossing the ocean and being in this market. It didn't do as well as they wanted to. I think they raised about $1 billion and they were targeting like 1.6, 1.8. But nevertheless, this is a humongous step forward. Obviously, this is happening. This is also going to help sort of this stigma that we have attached to maybe Chinese goods, being cheap and, breaking down a lot. But this is different. A lot of these companies consider themselves global brands. And much like, Apple that makes their products in China, they just realize that they need to be in China as far as producing these cars. Biden is another company that's right behind them. So this is very interesting. This is a big deal. Remember this day, guys. This is where Chinese automakers may just started their sort of invasion of the United States. I mean it in a good way, I guess. It's like Beatles invasion, I guess. So this is a big deal. Again, didn't raise as much as they wanted to, but this is a stock market. Could happen tomorrow, the day after. So that this is good. And I think the valuation is also pretty decent, I would say. All right, let's move on to something good that Tesla did, which we kind of expected them to. Is there's a humongous Hurricane Florence coming to the East Coast, and just like they did with Hurricane Irma in Florida. Was it a year ago? I guess a year ago. Basically, they have enabled they have unlocked all the battery capacity that in some cases was limited as part of people's contract with them. And they've also, I believe, enabled free supercharging so people can supercharge and try to get the hell out of there with their cars. Now, I don't know how many, I would be interested in how many lines this created. The gas station lines longer than the supercharger lines, but hopefully everyone's respectful and everybody is safe and good on Tesla to provide as much assistance as they can to their customers. Now, I've been telling you guys I was going to the event in San Francisco. I couldn't tell you what it was, but I figured you would all guess in case if you didn't. I was checking out the next BMW iNext. They put it on a cargo plane, the Lufthansa cargo plane, and kind of flying it around the world, showcasing it. There's like a showroom inside. It was pretty cool. We won't be able to release the footage until Saturday, but I will they will release the footage to us and I'll post my video on Sunday. But this is a preview that I kind of Photoshop and brighten up from their own teaser of that car. Now, I don't want to comment anything right now because I'm under NDA. So I don't want to, you know, disclose anything they didn't want us to disclose, but I will definitely do a full report on Sunday for you guys, and the B-roll will come from them, which will be really good footage of this car. So stay tuned for that. All right, I also want to thank a new Patreon, John George. Not even going to try to pronounce your last name, not to butcher it, but thank you so much for becoming a Patreon. If you guys want to support the show, if you want to watch it live, like a lot of people are doing it on Patreon, and of course the after party, I would call it. I call it the extra mile. If you want to enjoy that, definitely, boom, the link is right here, patreon.com/E4Electric. I call it the extra mile because it's just for the Patreons. We have a little chat, and I enjoy it. All right, let's move on to the comment of the day now. One of my favorite parts of the show, and this one is about the Jaguar I-Pace. Yesterday, I reported, that wasn't news actually, that came out a few days ago. I just was catching up, that they only made 140 of these I-Pace SUVs in August, which is pretty bad. I mean, when Tesla did the same thing with the Model 3, we all jump on their back. Now, of course, Jaguar wasn't setting production goals for themselves like Tesla was, but nevertheless, this is, you know, for established automaker, this is not good. But here's a very interesting comment, and I can't agree with him. Romeo is the one who made the comment. He said, the difference between Tesla and Jaguar is that it was and is necessary for Tesla to produce at least 5,000, according to themselves, in order to reach economic of scale so they can make a profit. That's not necessary for Jaguar. And it's absolutely true. I mean, absolutely, yes. You know, the future of Tesla obviously relies on their production rate and being able to be profitable. Where Jaguar is okay where they are. I mean, obviously good on them trying to push the boundaries and producing a pretty decent car. I love the way it looks on the outside. Not so crazy about it on the inside, but nevertheless, a very good all-electric car. And yes, you're right, they don't have to do it. But at the same time, it would be nice if they would actually start making it and tell us that they're serious about it. I know they're not a big manufacturer. People think that they're really big. They're actually not that big. But nevertheless, this is a little disappointing. Let's see what happens in the next few months. But great comment. I didn't think of that, so I appreciate that. All right, guys, for those of you who are the Patreons and staying on, the extra mile will start in just a few minutes. Other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow. And remember, of course, to stay charged.